Today on the Xtreme channel, we're going to answer two very important questions. The first question being, is this huge statue worth the price it commands? And two, does size matter? Hey guys, I'm Mr. X. This is the Xtreme channel. A big part of this channel is all about extreme collectibles, and I have one of the most extreme collectibles sitting in front of me. This is HulkBuster by XM Studios. Before we get into the details of why he's sitting on my table and what exactly he is, we're doing a few giveaways. The first giveaway is sometime during this video, put a comment below. If you put a comment in a video, you're entered into a random drawing. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. The second giveaway is right here. On our road to 20,000 subs, we are giving out this Mortal Kombat statue at 12,500 subs. All you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification and stay tuned for that giveaway. Sitting to my right is HulkBuster comic version by XM Studios 1/4 scale. What is all that? Well, first of all, HulkBuster is a creation by IronMan to help contain the Hulk. You may have seen it in the MCU movie Avengers Age of Ultron. Now this is the comic version. HulkBuster was not created for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it was actually existing within the comic world. So this is the comic version, so if you see a few discrepancies, that's why. This is the HulkBuster people knew way before Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man. However, the premise of it is the same. It is made by XM Studios, which is a large statue manufacturer out of Singapore. I actually recently did a video of their top 10 pieces right here. You can go ahead and check that out. Now the reason I'm reviewing him today is I thought, why not? I've actually owned him since he was released. I've had him, I think now for about 18, 19 months, and he's one of my coolest, biggest, and most impressive statues, so I thought, let's put him on the review table, and it was no easy task. I actually had to ask Mrs. X to help me because she is freakishly strong. And I've said this before, that he is one of my favorite pieces. I'm actually getting out of the Avengers as far as the statue collecting very soon, and he is probably one of the few that I will actually keep. And now that I've put him up here and took some pictures that you're going to see during the review and some other videos and stuff, I'm even more convinced. I don't think I will ever get rid of this statue, but honestly, I don't think I could. He came on a pallet, and the boxes were the size of child coffins. I don't have pictures because, as I said, that was about 18 months ago. But today we're going to really dive into a deep review. I'm going to do some stuff a little bit different for you guys than I traditionally do because I think this piece commands a little bit more attention, a little bit more time. Now in the review, we're going to use what I call the Xtreme Scale. It's right here. It's a 1 through 5 or a T through X rating. What you want is you want it on the right side. You want an X, you want a 5. Anything 3 and above is a good score. And we're going to look at concept, design, paint, sculpt, value, and overall aspect of the statue. Does it have the X factor? And let's start right away with concept. Now when we talk about concept, we talk about is it cool? Is it accurate? Does it follow a storyline? And you know this is already going to be an amazing concept because the design, which we're going to talk about later, actually adds to the concept. You have a lot of different display options. Before we dive into this at all, I just want to show you some amazing video of this. As you saw in the video, you have a few different display options, which it does tell a little bit of a different story with the concept. But overall, it's pretty similar. Hulk is on this monstrous concrete base that it looks like a building was just destroyed. There is brick and iron and metal pieces all over the place. It's cracked. You see some rebarb or post-tension cables, whatever that is. everywhere, and he is so heavy he is literally smashing into the ground, which I don't doubt. This guy probably weighs over 100 pounds or close to it. But as you move up, he is in a, I would call this a dynamic position. So you usually have dynamic is kind of like an action pose, which is what I would say this is. And it's slightly on the edge of what I would call a museum pose as well, where he is posing to take a picture. And I like that you can kind of categorize it into either one. It helps the displayability of this with other pieces. And as you move up, depending on which switch out you have, the one I have here is where the HulkBuster is kind of battle damaged and destroyed. Maybe he just fought the Hulk, like in the thumbnail. And as you move up, not only is it damaged, but Iron Man is jumping out of the, what I call the cockpit. The head is flipped back. You have a number of design options with light up features, and Iron Man now is ready to fight. His suit is clean because he's been inside the HulkBuster protected, and he's coming out ready to fight. Although if it was the Hulk that just destroyed the HulkBuster, I don't have a lot of confidence that Tony Stark can do anything with just the Iron Man suit. And I think another big part of the concept is just the overall presence. Whether he has the Iron Man suit coming out or whether he is enclosed, it is just so, so cool. This is clearly, and a lot of it honestly is the size, but I think the concept is an X. It is absolutely perfect. This is exactly what you'd want in a HulkBuster. I do know that Imaginarium Arts, I believe, they made another HulkBuster. I am just not a fan of this piece at all. And then Hot Toys has also made some 1/6 version pieces that I've owned, and again, I like this much better. So first thing I want to talk about design is displayability. I think it is truly accurate on the scale that it is. So let's get some dimensions for you guys. With Iron Man, which does make him taller, he is about 31 inches, which is not too bad because HulkBuster is hunched over. And I believe he's about the same wide. He's about 33 inches wide, is about 20 inches. Now with the HulkBuster helmet, you save, without Iron Man coming out of the cockpit, you save about 4 or 5 inches or so.
That's what she said.
So with displayability, it is kind of tough because he is so big, but I think that's accurate, and I think that's what you want out of Iron Man. So I do applaud them for that. They said, you know, we're not going to scale this down, we're going to go all out. So I think it's actually a pro that it's so big, and he does display well with others. You could put others right in front of him if needed. Now let's look at his switch outs really quick because you have a lot of different options as you saw. First right here, you can see that it is enclosed. This is kind of the undamaged HulkBuster. Now also with that, you can display Iron Man on a separate proximity base. It's awesome that they added this because we're going to look at some close-ups of Iron Man. I think this is the best Iron Man statue ever made as well. Or you can do a battle damage version, and this is what you'll see a lot of the close-up pictures of. So he has some parts opening in the front, the power source is damaged, the helmet is damaged in the back, and Iron Man is just jumping out of that cockpit. And he does have a number of light-up features as you saw. Everywhere you would think he would light up, he does. His hands, the thrusters on the back, the eyes in the HulkBuster helmet, the boosters on the back. Depending which switch out you're using, the power source, if it's the enclosed version, that lit up as well as you saw in the video. So, and they're actually pretty easy to turn on. You do have to remove a little magnetic plate and then hit a button. And this is the first time I've used the light up features since I unboxed it. I'm not a big light up guy by any means. Everything fit together really well. I was able to assemble this by myself. I remember XM was putting out tons of videos. Make sure you have someone else to help you. One big problem though, you cannot move him without someone else unless you are just a beast. You probably could, but I think you risk hurting yourself or the statue. But design-wise, if I'm going to do a HulkBuster, I love what they did with Iron Man. I think that was over the top. I think that it is showing his power. I think that the light-up options are cool. The only negative I would say with design is that Iron Man doesn't light up. However, his symbol on his chest, his arc reactor symbol, has a yellow hint to it that kind of bounces light off of it. So it looks like it lights up. And since I don't use light up features anyway, I don't think that's a huge issue. So that is the only thing that I think is taking this away from perfection. I think the way it transforms is just amazing. Everything else is solid. So I think the design is also a 5 out of 5 on this. It's perfect. You can tell a lot of thinking went into this. The only thing I would request is, you know, could it be lighter? My turntable was having some issues with it, which is why we're not moving now. So as we look at paint and sculpt on this piece, it's kind of hard to judge or talk about because a lot of it's the same thing. It's metal, silver, gold, and red colors, tarnished metal, but there's so many intricacies. So Let's take a look, starting with the base. Here, the concrete is done good. It's not the best concrete I've ever seen. The texture is nice. I think if they added some shadowing or different colors, it would have really helped it pop a little bit more. I do like the Easter eggs that you find it throughout here. Like at the bottom, you actually see some mud, which is a smart way to do it, so it kind of tells a story. And then as you move up and see the different bricks, the bricks look okay. They look a little cartoonish, but this is a comic version, so I'm okay with that. Or the different parts of the building that obviously has been destroyed. And I like how you see the, like I said, the rebar just running through the cement. It's really, really cool. And I've had this displayed low because it's so heavy. I don't want to put it on any shelf or anything, but I think I'm missing out a lot. Even the pipe here on the side. A lot of design or detail went into this base, and it really didn't have to. So again, a lot of props to them. It's very good. It's not the most amazing base. But now let's look at HulkBuster. And I'm going to kind of jump around here because you're going to get kind of the same idea. But first I want to look at the gold parts with the damage. This is so cool. The scoring damage looks like it was burnt or ripped apart on different aspects of him. And then when you look at it, you actually see some of the interior workings, which is really cool. And it's faded, so it's not brand new, but it is a newer suit. I like that look. It doesn't look brand new like Iron Man, which we're going to look at in the end. And you see the different silver aspects. Again, you get some battle damage throughout. Where his knees buckle, you see some inner workings. Let's look at the racing red, you know, the flashy red. So this has more of a reflective surface on it. And throughout it, you see some specks of dirt towards the bottom of the feet, which I think is awesome. Very, very cool. They maintain the entire story through this, like I said. That's what's really impressive to me. And as you move up, more of the legs, you see the robotic, mechanisms, whether they're pistons or dials or coils, or I don't know how you create a robotic leg. And as you move up, you see almost some shells that are layered on top of each other in the red and the silver. Very, very cool. Even the back of this statue is incredibly impressive. It's incredibly impressive. Same thing with the arms. A lot of what you saw on the legs, and you see more of the armor that I was talking about that was battle damage, kind of that gold padding on the outside. Almost makes me feel like the gold is kind of the extra armor. Check out his torso here, more of that gold, and it's kind of layered on top of each other like we talked about. And then even where Iron Man is coming out, I like the cockpit. It looks like a true cockpit. It looks like it would be actually accurate, which is kind of crazy. On the back, he has these boosters that do light up, and the light up feature is on and off depending when you look at it. And where you look at the portrait, that's where you see the portrait of HulkBuster. That's where you see it is different from the comic. And here's actually a photo of the battle damage and the non-battle damage right next to each other. Kind of give you guys perspective. But let's look at Iron Man here. The base is very similar to the HulkBuster. A lot of the same elements going on, so I like the fact that it pairs well with it. And then Iron Man, very clean. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite versions of Iron Man. I just like the diamond arc reactor symbol instead of the circle arc reactor. But very sharp on the paint here, both the gold and the red. Very reflective. Like I said, this is new because he's been protected inside. Portrait is classic comic Iron Man. I actually like a lot of the MCU Iron Man suits, but this one looks fantastic. Paint on this guy, definitely I think on HulkBuster and Iron Man he's an X. The base I would actually go ahead and give a W, 4 out of 5. But as I said, I haven't even really looked at this base since I got it. So I think I'm just going to gravitate, since HulkBuster commands so much of it. I think the paint is a 5 out of 5 on this. I think it's awesome. Some of the minor details they did with the damage and the dirt just really add to everything else on top of it. I'm very, very impressed. Sculpt, I'm equally as impressed, but I don't know if it's a 5 out of 5, and simply because you're not really looking at a lot of stuff like anatomy or clothing that is more difficult to sculpt. So I think that goes into the equation, that it's very robotic, and it's not a version of HulkBuster that you have good comparisons for, because in the comics you never get really a great full view of what it would actually look like if you saw it in person. So I think for some of those reasons, I think the sculpt's a 4 out of 5. It's damn near close to an X, but I don't think I've had a review where I've given a statue all X's. And value is the next category, so this is where it may really hurt some people. So this cost 2,500 Singapore dollars was the retail price on this, which depending on the exchange rates is about 1,700, 1,800 US dollars. And then it was damn near $1,000 to get it shipped. As I said, it was a whole pallet with 2 boxes that were just monstrous. So you're looking anywhere from, $2,600 to $3,000, and that was the retail price. I believe it flips for more nowadays, but it's still difficult to sell because of the shipping issues. So with value, you look at a few different things. Is it worth the initial price you paid? And I think it is, because first of all, like I said, you have 2 1/4 scale characters. One is giant. Concept is great. Design is great. Paint and sculpt are great. Some light up features, different display options. I think it is. But then you factor in how easy is it to resell and make money or get your money back. A lot of times value, if you'll double it at value, then value is a really high score. I don't think you can get make a lot of money off this piece simply because it already commands a high price and it's very difficult to ship. So, but overall, I think value is a 4 out of 5 on this piece. Definitely worth it to buy it, but if you consider the resale factor, that hurts it a little bit. So is this an X piece? Yes. This is probably the highest score piece I've given in a long time in all the different categories, so I give this an overall 5 out of 5. This is the best statue XM Studios has ever made, in my opinion. That shouldn't be a surprise to those of you that watched my XM Studios countdown video. And even putting it on my table today, I kind of fell in love with it. It is just an awesome, awesome piece. If you're an Avengers fan, if you're an Iron Man fan, this is definitely one of your grails that you should pick up someday. But it does command a lot of space. It does command a high price tag, and that is something you have to consider as well. It'll be my one Avengers piece. Although I do keep Hulk collections, so maybe I should put him, I'm moving offices where I have like 10 Hulk pieces and 10 more coming. Maybe he would fit well with them. So that's definitely an option for me. But I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me today. If you want to see some other XM Studios pieces, click on one of these playlists. And make sure you've subscribed to the channel because we have tons of cool stuff like this all the time, both old and new, especially a lot of new stuff. Let me know if you had the funds, would you buy this piece? Yes or no? Drop that in the comments and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.